You can see Barani in red to the left of the screen. In about 30 seconds, they're gonna make their way to the front. Notice how our star keeps looking over to the left, as if she's waiting for something. As the officers leave, they're pretending to talk to each other. And you can see how easy this plastic comes out. You see how easy that is? Frack taps the back of Vetter. Jaden is the first one to give the command that there is a weapon at 34 minutes and 49 seconds. And you can hear others chanting the same thing. Notice that the gunman briefly removes his hand from the weapon, like he's communicating, replying to his earpiece. Look how long it takes him to do it. Notice this person just walking in the background. If we draw a straight line from where the weapon is to where our star is, you will see that they don't match up. The weapon is far below her neck area. And boom, right there. Now that's 15 seconds since Jaden announced there was a weapon. That's important. Now let's back it up 15 seconds. We can see this guy point to Orange. Orange gives a hand movement. And look, the Hollywood glass just falls right out. SWAT 1 goes to Sam. Now why would Blue ever be in on this conversation? Blue makes his way past Yellow, where he grabs him, and you can see Barani making a hand movement. And he touches Red on the back, and Barani signals her to get into place. And she goes through, and she's ready to fall. And they all scatter. Notice this guy in the background. No one looks in the direction of the gunman. Yellow gets into place. Now that's Rufio. Right when she goes up, he turns his back. It doesn't make sense that Rufio's corralled all these people into breaking down the doors, only to step to the side and turn his back. In this angle, Rufio turns to take a peek. And he touches Red on the back. And Ninja automatically puts his hands up. Also, notice when she falls back, her backpack looks fairly plump. A perfect breakaway for a fall. And you'll see Yellow breaks her fall, boom, with his foot. And here you can see the plastic glass. Red gets out of the way. And interestingly enough, Ronnie moves down just to touch her. Just to touch her right backpack area. Just for a brief moment. While Sam comes down, he moves her, 9 inches to his left. He's about to reach under her right shoulder. At the same time he does it, SWAT 1 briefly squeezes her right hand, or he's putting something in there. When Sam picks her up, she puts her hands in front of her face. It almost appears that she opens her eyes right there, and she just puts her hands down. Boom, she's set down, and then her elbows go down as Data and Orange move into place. Now Sam's gonna make a big hand movement. His left hand is still under her right shoulder, trying to give her a back massage and shit. Who writes this? And look how she's laying. She's still got her right leg up. It's only been 11 seconds since the weapon went off. And here you can see her curl the side of her mouth up, while a drop of blood runs out from under her nose, which takes less than 16 frames. Here it is in real time. No blood. And there it is. And she has her hands like she's about to give a shadow puppet performance. It's just an interesting face to make. No suffering. It's like, boom, instant death. She's basically using that backpack as a pillow. All the while, look to Sam's right. There's Ninja. And Ninja's been there all along. And he comes down with him. And it almost looks like she has a smile on her face. It's almost like a Mona Lisa. And she's holding her right hand clenched like she has something in there. Now you have SWAT 1 coming in, playing a scene blocker. And notice how Rufio is just clamoring over SWAT 3, because there's quite a bit of photographers in that room. Now look, frickin' Frack. He grabs him in the back, and he puts his hands up. See how he just grabs him and he puts his hands up? They were friends earlier, remember? And look at Barani. Okay guys, I'm just gonna pull out my phone. And notice how he looks at his hand. He's gonna do that a couple times. And there's a reason for that. So now SWAT 1's making his hand movements, you know, the big pointing. And now he's gonna put up his weapon. And he does this little dance with his knees. Okay, thank you. Thumbs up. Like he's pretending to talk to someone. And he's like, thumbs up. And now Data moves in. He clumsily takes his book bag off. Now here it gets really strange. With the exception of her nose, at this time code we see there's no blood on her. 3517. We're gonna see her pop in right there. Nothing. 3521. But wait, boom. 3525. 4 frames. That's 4 seconds. And now it looks like she's devoured some small woodland creature. Don't you love how blood defies gravity? But how is that possible? Let's back it up 4 seconds. Now watch. Notice how Sam moves his left hand from her right backpack area, and he goes to grab her hand like she's doing a peace sign. With her hand, dips it in. Look at that movement. Now you can see him move his hand across her face. But look, she moves her wrist into his hand first. It kind of looks like she's smearing blood on her face, or putting something in her mouth, but you can see the movement. And he swats her hand down. Then he forcefully turns her head to the right. It's hard to see if those are her fingers or if she's holding on to something. Now Sam gets up and all he's doing is just pointing. Look, well, I guess my work here is done. They're both pointing at the same time because it makes for good pictures. You've got the drama, you've got the pointing, and now this blood is just gushing out of her mouth. Don't make no sense. do you hear that? Y'all murdered this person? It's only been 21 seconds since the weapon went off. Just grabbing him, like, what are we gonna do? And notice, he has a full beard. Do people in these positions normally have full beards? Maybe? Okay. He's also double masked. Ooh, such a secret. And they just keep pointing, look. SWAT 1, SWAT 2. We can see that Yellow has changed his appearance as well. And so Data does these big gestures. She's still got her damn hands, like she's playing a scarecrow or something. Now this guy coming in, he's a parrot blocker, and he's saying, move, move. Data just looks up, he's like, medic, scalpel. All the while Ninja's still back there, just monitoring everything. Data is just still fumbling through his bag, not looking for anything in particular. Everybody's just kind of moving around her.
Got an active shooter!
We have an active shooter. How original.
Get her down!
Get her down? She is down, bro. God, it's so cringy.
Get the light! Flashlight!
So they're screaming for a flashlight. Out of all things, a flashlight. Because the flashlight will enhance the drama of the photos. And it draws the eye down towards the light.
Where is she hit?
Where's she hit? Yeah, it seems like no one really knows. And that's when she opens her mouth, like she's spitting it out. You can see she has blood on her fingers. But when do we see her ever touch that area? And Data taps her left hand and she puts it down. And like flicks something away. Fixes something out of her hair. It's unclear if Data is contributing to the blood effects or if he's just a scene blocker. You can see SWAT 1 knees her right arm closer to her. And then she tucks it under her right butt cheek. So this is the medic. He identifies himself as the medic. Notice that wonderful earpiece he has on. And let's see the various ways he tries to save her. Medic puts his water bottle down. SWAT 1 just grazes her. Everybody's just grazing her. Parrot blocker getting up in there. And so medic pulls down the flag that's tied around her neck. And notice he only had one glove coming into the room, which is very interesting. Look, when he does this move, she opens her mouth briefly, or she says something. So he's only using one hand, and she just lets some of the blood out of her mouth. Thank God for capsules. And her eyes she's looking at things, where before she was just looking straight ahead. At the same time, you can see them just hanging out. And here comes the scene blocker cop. Now Ninja's either just making hand movements for the camera or he's giving directions to SWAT 1. And SWAT 1 is just fumbling around with this little napkin, this little toilet in a baggie. Notice how Medic tucks this, what looks to be a cell phone, in between Data's knees. It appears Data takes the cell phone away with him. Did you see that? What is Parrot Blocker pulling from her hair? And here he puts it into his pocket. Parrot Blocker shouts to SWAT that he's a medic, yet does nothing. You can start to see his very small pool of blood, like the size of a cookie, right where Sam's hand was. That's when they all come out.
Get back! We can't save her! Get the f*** out! We can't save her!
We gotta get EMS here, guys. Now, notice Ninja just randomly puts his hands up. The cops have been next to him this whole time, and now he's putting his hands up. It's for the camera.
She's dead. I caught her phone. Her eyes.
Did you hear Jaden? Because he keeps repeating it over and over. He's saying the light faded from her eyes. They're all gaslighting because they know the audio is going to be recorded. So they're all kind of pointing and overacting and fumbling in their little corners. 3621, Taylor Hanson smiles. Look at Shades. And Fredo has no one to talk to. He's got nothing to do right now. And SWAT 1 and SWAT 2 are still fumbling with this stupid fucking bag. What is that, little gauze? So he's just tugging it along on the flag kerchief. Everybody's grabbing for her neck. What's that? That's Medic's hand. Do you hear the scrunch as he squeezes? And then Medic comes in. It almost looks like Medic hesitates, and then he comes in. Now we see this very small pool of blood. See how there's just a small passive blood stain? It leaves no trail or indication of a direction. There's no spine, satellite, or elongation tails. There's no cast off. There's no arterial spray or expirated spatter, which makes the use of a blood squib in her backpack and around her neck the most plausible explanation, which could be why during this whole ordeal they never untie the flag. She's gone, man. We're gonna see that black hat cap. He's still just looking for a pulse, but he just declared that she wasn't there. And now look, he clearly has blood on his fingers. And he turns his fingers around and looks at them. And he just wipes them on the flag. Look, he just wipes them on the flag. And he moves it out of the way. And that's when SWAT 1 comes in with his little towelette. Dab, dab, dab. Dab, 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 dab. Like this is fucking ASMR or some shit. At the same time, he snaps another photo. Barani's faking a call, looking at his hand. And there's Jaden. And Ninja just ninjas his way over to us. Scene blocker cop blocks Parrot blocker. Hey, what's going on? Who's that? Oh, he's got a radio. Maybe he'll call for help. No one's doing anything. Medic stands up. See, he's the medic with that sticker. And there's Adam Gray, taking all the photos. And it appears the clock reads 2:47. Fredo still has nothing to do. Now look, it's frickin' Frat. They're still hanging out. Frick sees the camera and begins acting again. Yep, we're still rolling. What? Got blood on the floor. Yeah, not that much. Now that's Yellow saying that. Oh, Vetter, bless your heart. And now look at Rufio with his hand on top of his head like, oh, it's such a shame. Oh, Barani puts his hand around Red. There's the famous photo. Has anyone seen an iPhone on? Nobody's doing anything. Everybody's just hanging out. Angry lady number 1. She's just there to scream at them. Now notice they're still taking photos of her in the background, yet no one has done anything. She's dead, she's dead. Hanson in the background. He's got his footage. This is, oh no, we'll see him later. Barani motions to medic. And now Fredo motions for Bike Cop 1. Look, more pointing, more big hand movements. Do you see any blood on Sam right now? He put gloves on, and he's got little paper towels or something. Maybe it's a script. They're still just getting all the pictures. Shades is making his big hand movements. Oh, he's grabbing Barani, but notice Barani puts his hand on his back, where he grabs him. And he lets go. Big hand movements. It's Jazz Fingers. And there goes Adam Gray. What's up, bro? Who later gets fake arrested. And then Red is pushed out with Data. See, they've already made one. And look how uniform they are. Looks like they made it just in time, even though they don't go out that way. And there she goes, with her book bag and flag still wrapped around her. Luckily, they don't have that far to go, just right out that door. Is that normal? Is that normal protocol? You would think if it was as easy as for everybody else to get into the Capitol, it would be for paramedics. Now we see Sam on the other side of the door, and we see he's littered his latex gloves on the Capitol floor next to the blood. No one would ever do that, unless it was to add drama to the photos. So that's our pool of blood. That sad, pathetic pool of blood. This is classic. Oh, you just stepped in the crime scene. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. I think he does do it intentionally because it creates a transfer pattern from the heel of his boot. It adds drama to the photos. He intentionally does that. Is that a cop? Come on, guys. Is that a cop? Are these cops? And now they put the black ski cap over the blood. They've got the photos. And that's the guy who stepped in it, now changing his appearance. And those are the sad, pathetic droplets from one malfunctioned squib. Now, let's take a look at the aftermath. Oh no. And so they're all just echoing the same thing over and over again. They're getting everybody to spread the word.
They just killed the girl! Hey, there's a f***ing shot to go right in the goddamn stomach.
I thought it was supposed to be her neck.
They're shooting kids. They shot a girl in there. They shot a girl.
This is like the cringe hour.
They shot a girl.
But listen to what this lady says.
See it, but they shot a woman.
They all acting. They
just hit.
That's amazing. It completely validates everything we're doing here. And notice coming down the stairs like a damn 80s movie, Thomas Barani, with his hand up. He's about to stop on the stairs and just start screaming.
Shot her and killed her.
And then no one's gonna pay attention. Wow. And now he caught somebody's attention.
Shot her with a gun through the neck. She fell back into my hand.
Bro, why are you lying? Oh, don't you mean your hand fell back into her book bag? Man, this guy's such a creep.
It's not talk anymore! This is too much.
God, this is so hard to look at. And here he is again.
They shot her in the neck, and she fell back on me and started saying she was fine at school.
What? Guys, you know none of that happened.
And then she started kind of like moving weird.
Okay, that's true.
It could have been me, but she went in first. This could be you or your kids.
Jesus. And here they're whisking her away on a stretcher. Notice these highlighter badges on all of them. Maybe you can tell me what these are. And maybe you can tell me what this black waistband is. Ooh, it looks like they did a touch-up. He totally has his hand on her boob. And you can see she's clearly still alive. And notice all of these van shuttles in the background. Hey, look, it's SWAT 1. What was that about? Even Taylor Hanson got a spot on TV.
And the minute that she hopped up in that pain, she had no idea that he was even there.
No, she only had a 15-second warning. Bruh. From the first scream to her taking it to the neck. 15 seconds.
He shot her right in the neck.
Oh, now it's her neck. Hopefully Jaden will get it right.
Yeah, so basically all the protesters kind of stormed to get into the chamber.
And perhaps our last clip is most telling of all. And here's Jaden.
They killed a girl.
They killed a girl. I dead ass have it on camera. They shot her. I seen this shit on camera. They had. I guess we're all done. Yeah, so fuck it. I guess we're all done. Yeah, so fuck it. I got it all.
So what do you think, guys? Can you see what I see? Is this shit legit? Maybe I'm missing something, maybe I'm overlooking it. Please, if you see anything I'm not seeing, write it below. Please use your word choices carefully when commenting. Hey, thanks for coming down the Babbit hole with me. Are we being duped? If you learned something, feel free to subscribe. That's why I'm here. It's not just for fun. You know, it takes a lot of work to edit these videos, and I'm just one person. I don't have all the answers figured out, but I can tell you something ain't right. Please feel free to mirror, share, and please keep analyzing. Maybe we could start looking at this stuff a different way. Hey, thanks for breaking this down with me.
We just figured out WOOZ news because we're fucking smart.
And we are fucking smart. Hello and welcome to Creative Chaos. My name is Christy McKenzie, co-owner and publisher of Flip City Magazine, the nation's most savage satire rag. Now, we all know mainstream is mostly controlled crap, and we continually give plenty of attention to it by relentlessly complaining of how much it sucks. This show's a bit different and was created to offer a spotlight to fascinating people that are creating fantastic things outside the mainstream, effectively creating a better and truly diverse culture. And a little housekeeping, as always, Creative Chaos is sponsored by our magazine, Flip City Magazine. Here is our latest edition, Volume 19, closing out our 4th year of publishing. We decided to create this comic satire magazine to push back on wannabe tyrants and give you a reason to laugh at the insane world that we're living in. So we give you things such as ruled by ghouls. We give you a reason to laugh at the fact that we are ruled by ghouls. This piece in particular is written in Poe-style poetry. And you will get that inside volume 19. If you go to flipcitymag.com, you can order volume 19, and you will also get a handcrafted tin foil hat with your purchase. And while you're there, subscribe. So yeah, Flip City Magazine. You'll love it, I promise. And tonight I have one of my most favorite creators across all of the interzones, WOOZ News. You are going to see me geek out and fangirl over somebody that is creating the best, most hilarious, I don't want to call it infotainment, because I think that diminishes what he's actually doing in exposure of corruption and bad actors and things like that. But it is very entertaining, especially if you were watching the everything wrong with the Capitol shooting in 21 minutes or less that we started the stream with tonight. If you came in early, that's what was playing, and it was created by Rafa at WOOZ News, and we're going to bring him in right after this short opening sequence, which is bomb. Check it out. Hi, Rafa.
Hey! Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I know, I said Merry Christmas. Coming up on New Year's.
No, Merry Christmas, no apologies. That's
exactly.
Our tagline for Christmas. Thank you so much for coming to my tiny stream, and I am going to geek out and just be super complimentary of all your work. Is that okay with you?
Oh, thank you. Do it. That's
okay.
Fine by me.
You know, one thing in that opening sequence that we just played, what is up with the naked person on a wrecking ball?
Yeah. I was gathering all these clips together when I was creating WOOZ News. And when I first started WOOZ News, it was more like a Tosh.0 kind of clip show. And so there was this idea of pop culture in the earlier episodes of WOOZ News before it became, you know, the J6 doc became what it is now. But there are 2 frames in the opening title sequence, which is only 17 seconds. One picture is we'll talk about David Crowley a little later, but there's a sequence where WOOZ has a mask on his face and he's standing in front of this house. That house belonged to David Crowley, and then there's a frame that his face flashes, but there's also a chemtrail in there, and there's also a winking Obama from Heliofence, I Pet Goat 2, and you know, some all-seeing eyes and compasses and Illuminati shit. And yeah, so that is Miley Cyrus on the Wrecking Ball. And
Okay.
when I was creating, I am a big fan of Jesus, but when I was creating the opening sequence, there was this hilarious meme that says chemtrails are just lines of coke for Jesus. And so you have this chemtrail going by with somebody snorting a line of coke snorting the chemtrail while Miley Cyrus goes by on a wrecking ball, because how fitting. And then there's, you know, this great big explosion where the hero dog comes to save people and wake them up out of their slumber.
Well, now you've given me a reason to watch that 17 seconds another 100 times, so I can pick out all the little winks and nods you put in there.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's also like not the first time we see WOOZ, but when the glasses come on, all of that was kind of based from John Carpenter's They Live. You know, you put the glasses on and then you can see what's going on. So that was kind of an homage to that. But if you look at the characters in the background, it's just it took weeks to make that thing.
Well, you know, and I think it gives a good idea of kind of your style, what you do. You just pack it full and make it so rewatchable. And the reason I have watched the Capitol shooting, I've watched more than your Act 2, because it's just so rewatchable, and because you miss things.
It's also not an hour and 18 minutes.
Right. Well, there's that too. Yeah, no, because I think, you know, I was probably within the first few thousand people that watched Act 2. And I'm like, oh my God, this is almost too much. Like my ADD is out of control.
You know, I recently watched it on a huge screen. Normally I'm watching it as I edit. I was just, you know, I sent it to my family and, you know, they said they watched it. We'll see about that, but I was just like, I really want to show some of my sisters, and they didn't seem, I don't know, I kind of had it like, hey, let's watch my documentary. But watching it on this huge screen, it looked great. But I realized, like, damn, this is going so fast. I've watched it only once before, because when you're editing, you don't, you know, I'll do a final run through where I'll watch everything, but still, I'm checking. I'm not watching it as an audience, as a viewer. But when I think that was 2 nights ago, and I mean, it looked great, but I was just like, dang.
Okay, so just to feed this back to you, you watched it on a big screen with whoever in your family would watch it with you.
Act 2, yeah.
Act 2. Okay, yeah, you know, and
it was just really fast. You know, it's intended to be fast because otherwise this will be like a 10-hour documentary. And that's also the style of it as well. You know, it's cut to the music. We just need to see what we need to see, get into the scene and get out. But it is pretty fast because you're reading subtitles and who's that and who's that. I think for me is pointing out all the characters. There's a lot of pointing out of characters, and and I realized people are just like, wait, who's who again? And so I really need to
It's
because I'm
almost
cutting
like you
Act 3
need-
right now, and I need to I'm just giving a little bit more air, a little bit more breath to
Well,
the scenes, and
I have-
not so fast.
I have a suggestion, and it probably
Sure.
won't sell well, but maybe
We'll
like
see.
a user's manual, a 500-page user's manual, so they can
Sure.
read it. You can follow
Exactly.
along with what's going on.
Well, that's what I tried to do with Act 2, which was setting up this. You had the different chapters of kayfabe and learning the photographers and things like that. And I do try to hold my audience's hand and try to spell it all out for them. But I also have to keep in mind that sometimes our viewers are not watching. They didn't watch Act 1; they're watching Act 2 for the first time, or maybe when Act 3 comes out, they'll just watch Act 3 for the first time. And so you got to make it. It's kind of like if you were to go to any sequel, and there are those fine bits of detail that you're unaware of, but they generally catch you up to speed. But right now I'm just oh, here's so and so from Act 2, and it's like, okay, well, we're not going to see them again in Act 3, so let's just take them out. I don't care.
Okay.
So I'm cutting a lot of that out. Like if we go to the crypt at Obstacle 8, you don't need to know that there's Taylor Hanson and there's frickin' Frack, and I'll just tell you now, that's where Fredo and frickin' Frack and Taylor Hanson are all at. But it's not really. I realize it's not relevant to that scene.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Understandable. And now, me personally, I would say for anybody that hasn't seen any of your work, to start with the Capitol, everything wrong with the shooting, your Act 1.
Sure. Yeah. It's 20 minutes, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. It's a 6-minute scene. The video itself is 21 minutes, but the scene itself is 6 minutes. And obviously it was a lot easier to do. I also didn't know hardly anybody in the room because, I took the footage I had and edited it, and it took me about 3 weeks to put it out there, almost a month. And unlike Act 2, which was 2.5 years.
Right. And one thing I was interested in, because I kind of looked through your social media to see if you actually ever put it up. But on another stream, you had mentioned you actually had one of those conspiracy boards with the strings. Is that for real? Did you really
That is
have
for
that?
real. I really truly had that. That was for the Aurora, Colorado shooting. There are just some false flags that I became, I don't want to say obsessed with, but when you don't have an outlet like I do now, you just have your friends and, I don't know, hookups that would come over and see it. And it just, I did have that, yeah. I also wanted, I will say it's helpful because also as a writer, you will have that as a writer. You'll have all your index cards, and they'll be in the different acts, and you connect this with that, and so it's a little bit like that. And in Act 2, I have it in there, but digitally. When we're looking at our different photographers, that was kind of my homage to the Batman shooting, if you will.
Yeah, doesn't it seem like maybe every, way back when, it seemed that false flags were coming every once in a while, but seems now we probably get a false flag once a week.
Yep, I'd say so. They've really turned it up.
They really
turning up the
have.
juice.
Yeah. So which one do we pay attention to and dig into, right?
My answer would probably not be the most popular one, even though I want people to watch what I have to put out. I kind of turned my back on all of this. It just, I became obsessed, waiting for the world to end in a way, and reading different manuals and internment camp manuals and different bills, and listening to a lot of Alex Jones. And then I came to realize the purpose of Alex Jones, other than him being a controlled op, but it's to keep us in a state of fear. It doesn't propel us into a state of belief or compassion or love. No, it keeps us stuck. And it keeps us buying shit we don't need, like survival shit. Now, I'm not saying you can argue whether you need survival things or not. I could tell you, as somebody who bought into all of that, man, I was having to throw cans away like all the time. You know, update the marijuana in this giant chest of shit that I've never needed. And since then, I've just put my faith in Father and Brother Yeshua, and you know, things are a lot better now. So when a false flag comes by, you know, I'll be like, how are they spinning this now? Or now it's just so lazy, you know.
Hey, but one thing I gotta say, we live in California, so it's not a bad thing to be prepared, because it could be an earthquake. Come on.
I'm not. No, I didn't mean. I see. That's the thing with live streams.
You need your weed after the earthquake.
What I think the idea here, I think there's a difference between being prepared and there's a difference between waiting for it and eating, spoon feeding this type of fear porn. And what else can I add to this? You know, is this enough? And just adding and I could remember just being so unpleasant to be around, because people would be all, you know, happy or whatnot, and they come over to me and we're smoking a bowl, and I'm like, so did you hear? You know, I'll try to get it in that way. Did you see what they did? You know, and
they're like, you just don't buzzkill me, bro.
That's what I was. I was a giant buzzkill, and just I don't want to be that guy anymore. I was that guy. Like, the first thing I got to do is tell them how I feel about 9/11, or just slip it in there. I would just slip. I got to the point where we had to talk about it, to where I would just slip it in there. So now I don't really follow what's going on anymore, except the Capitol. But even with the intricacies, is that how you said that word? Intricacies?
Yeah, you did it right.
Thank you. I always like to say intricaticities. The intricaticities of the Capitol are not very like, I don't care who's in jail or in jail. You know, I think over time, as I've done the Capitol and I've been contacted by some people who are going to jail or are just coming out of jail. And yeah, there's quite a few people trying to convince me that they're not paid protesters, but I know they are. And then there's others that, like I said, the real story of January 6th is the one they're not telling on the news. And it's not just fake cops and fake, you know, Trump supporters. It's the actual Trump supporters themselves. Now, and I don't subscribe to Trump, but I don't subscribe to any president. My last favorite president was Zachary Taylor, if that tells you anything. But I do support the human race and the human spirit. And I understand that these people saw that their constitution, or that the tyranny, the multitude of tyranny in this country, and they wanted to do something about it. And these are the people that you don't hear about that are going to jail. So this story is taking on a whole another level. You know, I didn't know how far this was going to go, and now I'm in it.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you had mentioned, you know, a lot of people try to convince you, no, you're wrong on this person, or you're wrong on that person. This is definitely like a real patriot that is not controlled, or, you know, this is real. Do you respond to those people? Do you just leave it alone? You know, do you feel like you need to prove anything to those people?
I've already put out my argument, if you will, about how I feel about that. A lot of people, for some reason, it's become a new thing, or for a couple of weeks now, they want me to debate the Q shaman, Jacob Chansley, and I just don't see the point in that, because I've already put out my work.
Well,
and
you know, I do see a point in it, because you should. I'm not going to shoulda all over you, but in my view, anything that can get more eyes on what you're doing and your documentary, you know, if you can find the energy within yourself to do that, steal his platform, use it. You know, it's basically a soapbox. And
Sure.
I'm not saying you won't get hate or anything like that, but you know,
I've already gotten my fair share.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If it brings more attention to it, that's fine. I'm always just like, wait for Act 3, and then maybe we can have a debate.
Okay.
But it's just like, you know, some of these other, like Gateway Pundit wanted me to bring me on, and of course, if you watch the director's cut of Act 2, you would know that that's probably not a very good choice for Rafa to go on to Gateway Pundit. I don't trust them anyway. Like, it puts me in a very strange situation when I'm having to, I guess, be on the interwebs or debating somebody that I believe in my heart is part of all of this deceit. So it just makes me feel awkward, and I'm not very good at hiding things. I'm not very good at. I don't have a poker face.
Yeah, you're a genuine person. You mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, authentic. I'm authentic, eh?
Hey, how often does that happen?
They're out there. They're definitely out there.
Yeah. And hey, Rafa, I just wanted
What's
to
up?
check in. I wanted to just check in with my chats real quick and say hello to Pastor Chatelet and Salty
Oh, what's
San
up,
Diego.
Pastor Chatelet?
Yeah, what is up, Pastor Chatelet? We love that man, do we not?
Yeah, he's great. I've had some fun conversations with him.
I'm sure you have. In fact,
Yeah.
you've been on you know, some of my friends' streams, and I know they go forever and a day. And I watched a portion of Pastor Chatelet's and heard you guys debating and
debating about Jesus.
Debating about Jesus. Yes. And, you know, I also have to get work done. So that is often why I don't hop into the cozy pond over there, is they're so ADD and so distracting that I'm like, love you, Pastor, but I'm not going to hang out in your chat very often. But yes, so hello, Pastor Chatelet.
Hi, Pastor.
And Zomg, this is awesome. LOL, you are always in my streams. Thank you for coming over until Valhalla calls over.
What's up until Valhalla calls?
Yeah. Over
He's
on
my buddy.
Odyssey. Those are who's watching over on
Christy,
Odyssey.
let me ask you a question. Are you
Yeah.
you're able to hear me? Are you able to see me?
I am, and I am.
Okay, great.
Which, by
That's
the
it.
way, I freaking love your hair. You have
Oh,
great
thank you very
hair.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
When
Thank
you
you.
popped in, I meant to tell you, like, backstage, how great your hair looked.
Thank you. I did fix it like 3 hours ago because I thought we were going live 3 hours ago, but that was my B. And so I'm like,
And
what
then-
am I gonna do for 3 hours? And then I found something.
You did your hair?
No, I actually came across some information that put me in a funk, and I just spent the last couple hours getting out of it.
Well, you know, one thing I'm very disappointed why we're streaming while you're in Florida is that I don't believe we're gonna get a cameo from actual WOOZ tonight.
No, not today. I know.
That sucks.
sorry.
I mean, damn you, Rafa, for saying yes, we can do it.
Hey, if you want to do a part 2.
Well, and we're going to save that to the end when I'm going to say, hey, we're going to do this again, right? And then you agree. Okay, great.
Listen, if it gets more eyes on the page. Oh, I never sent you my Give Send Go. It's fine. If we can get more eyes on the page.
By the way, all of your links I've already put in the description across Odyssey, YouTube, and Pilled/Foxhole. But I still need to finish my shout outs because I'm really trying to build up that internet
shout it
clout.
out.
So
Build it up.
I don't even know how to say this name, and I believe it's probably one of your friends. We've got Greater Hater.
Oh,
Greater Hater.
What's up, Kelly?
Oh, Kelly. So I would say that is my new friend as well.
Yeah.
And Skunk12 over on YouTube, and my friend Mike Lorber checked in. Citizen Lens, thank you so much for popping in and saying what's up. Yay.
Love that guy.
Oh man, I've been seeing him go crazy on Twitter promoting your stuff, and I'm just so happy to see that you have so many people supporting your work.
It's a handsome fellow over there.
Is he a handsome?
I
need
so.
I need to check out what he looks like. Okay, and Digital Cleaner.
Sorry to put you on blast, Lens.
And my friend Jordan as well over on YouTube.
I can't actually see the comments.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I could. What?
Oh, wait.
Maybe if I
Cosmic.
go-
Oh, yeah. Click on Cosmic Grandpa's thing in
No, but
that, and you'll
this
be
is
able
my
to
phone.
see.
But
Oh,
maybe I could go to the YouTubes.
yeah. I don't know. YouTube might have the fewest.
It's fine. You know
right
what?
now.
It'll be distracting for me.
Then over on pilled.net, we've got Hang 10 Alien Surfer, my friend Norm over there, Timber Jet Plain Truth, Paul Thaddeus, Deplorable Thora, Timber Jet, and I think that's all that has popped in my chat. So hello, welcome. Thank you so much for watching Creative Chaos number 3. I promised to do better checking in with chats, and I hope I did okay by you all. All right, with that out of the way, I'm so happy that I did that, and that you recognize some of your own friends over there. Something that I wanted to get into, because I know just by watching you on other streams that you came to LA to really kind of try to make it in Hollywood, but by being actor, director, writer, which it seems to me you are a fantastic writer, because I watched one of your and thank you to Kelly, by the way, for sending this to me, because I did not know this existed. I watched The Call passively today. I was doing other work, but the opening, the first 2-minute opening is it just draws you in. So I had Cosmic pull that down, and I'd like to watch that right now, if that is okay with you.
Oh, the call?
Yeah, the first 2 minutes of The Call.
Sure. I mean, if I could just let your audience know that this was a spec pilot that I raised the funds for, and spec means you go out and you raise the money and you shoot it, and I did everything, and I took one meeting with Amazon and kind of left their butt hurt. And I just went on to the next project, and then eventually went on to WOOZ News. So in the past, when I've talked about, finishing Act 3, doing David Crowley's story, and then getting back to my shows to sell them, that's The Call is one of them. So.
Okay, I am not sure if the audience heard any of that, because I see Cosmic playing the video right now, so they might not have heard any of that.
Just kidding. Okay.
Cosmic, are we backstage?
No, you're live.
Oh.
My friend. Hey, it's good. It's good.
Oh, hey, we're back.
Hey.
I'm still learning how to stream, especially with a super duper awesome producer. Hey, so Cosmic, if you don't mind just popping in and giving us a little feedback, was the sound on that video going out live, and me and Rafa were talking over it?
Correct. And
okay.
The feedback was not on, so you guys were not hearing it. I apologize for that.
Okay, no biggie. So I'm glad that the audience got to see the 2 minutes of the beginning of your spec pilot, which I'm assuming never, got picked up.
It did not get picked up. I had one meeting with Amazon, and I said something like, doesn't Amazon want to be one of the good guys? And the guy said, we don't care about being one of the good guys. We just want to make sure we get your $99 each year. And I said something like, maybe Amazon should, I don't know, reflect on their manual or something. I don't know, something stupid in the heat of the moment. Oh, maybe Amazon should rethink their business structure. Some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was enough for me.
Mr. Principled over there.
Yeah, I mean, but the idea was to go to every network and pitch it. The thing that I didn't have in my favor was I had one big project that was already done. I didn't have anything else. I had things in the works, but I didn't have anything else. So that's why, took a break from the call and started working on my other shows. And there's a lot more work to do.
Yeah, and that was something when Kelly brought that to my attention and I watched it today, because I had heard that you were, doing kind of wanting to weave your way into the Hollywood thing. And then I watched this and the call, and I had something that popped in my head was, so basically you've exposed yourself as somebody that probably would not fit in very well in that structure. Do you have any plan to still work in the industry after this, or what is your plan after, everything's fixed and we're living in a fantastic world,
that's there's reasons why I did WOOZ News anonymously for 3.5 years or whatever, 4 years. And I had a very intense spiritual phenomenon happen to me in April. And back then, this, Act 1 was already out, but I'll tell you, man, like, I was checking behind my door. I was scared all the time. And I feel like Father put me through a series of tests where I got used to somebody coming to kill me, which might be awful to say, but it got to the point where I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to put my face out there. Like, I got so tired of making sure the VPN was on, and you couldn't, if I hadn't made that choice, I wouldn't be doing any of the interviews, I probably wouldn't have continued because I wouldn't have had my Give Send Go to pay my rent, to help pay my rent. So I think
right. Well,
I didn't want to live in fear anymore, and Father knows that this is something that I've wanted since I was a baby, to make movies, to be in movies. I love movies and TV, and even though I don't so much as watch them too much these days, just because I'm mostly editing, but I would love to. How do I want to say this? I love to do so many different things, and one of my pilot, well, it's a limited series. One of my limited series is a true crime story. It's a detective story, and I love investigations. I love detective work. I watch forensic files and cold case files pretty often, and I'm working on a case in the background as well. So I'm a little bit of an actor, a little bit of an artist and writer and director, and a detective, and I would love to see that come to fruition. I would also love to be a gardener and be a father and a husband one day. And so I have big dreams. I would really love to I would really like to help people on a spiritual level, not necessarily like, here, take ayahuasca, but I would more on an Edgar Cayce level or John Edwards level, like something just fan-fucking-tastic and dealing with the spirit realm. Yeah.
Seems
So.
like you need to make a choice, some kind of choice. That was a long list of things you want to do.
Well, I've only had this suit this one time, so try to fit it all in there. But I'm living in the flow. I still have a couple more months to finish Act 3. My plan is I'm trying to get a case reopened. The David Crowley case, I'm trying to get that reopened. I have requested several signs from the universe, whether to commence with that.
I'm going to stop you right now because
Stop me.
we're entering our next phase, which
Ooh.
includes a Flip City segment, which is called which includes mansplain. And so I think it's time for us to head over and talk about the next thing that you're working on. So Cosmic, if you can play my little stinger, that would be great.
Just did.
Oh, you did. Wonderful. We're in the mansplain segment. And
Yay.
I am going to find my little spiel here. So mansplain is a segment that we do weekly because I'm just a silly girl and I need to have men explain things to me. In fact, I actually really like it. And we all know kind of in our cultural realm that we're living through right now, men's voices really are quite suppressed. So with my super duper huge platform, I'm going to give Rafa a soapbox to explain about David Crowley, somebody I know very little about. And after we spoke today on the phone, I pulled up the super inflammatory headline, and I believe it was from the Daily Beast, saying an alt-right filmmaker's descent into madness, paranoia, and murder-suicide. So, Rafa, if you want to tell us a little bit about the next project you're working on. I know it has to do with David Crowley.
It does. I get very strange feelings when I hear those kind of headlines. I mean, I talk about David with every interview I've done, so forgive me for repeating myself. But he wasn't an alt-right kind of guy, but I don't really know how you would classify him, but he was a filmmaker, and he was creating a trailer called Gray State, and when he was finished with this trailer, somehow it got the attention of InfoWars and We Are Change movement and the Oath Keepers and all these different movements that were coming up around that time. This was during the Ron Paul era as well. This was 2012, and it got so many views that he went on to the InfoWars show with Alex Jones and kind of making his rounds on the alternative news syndicate shows, and his predominant goal in mind was to sell Gray State and make it into a feature, and he had a movie deal here in Hollywood. So while David was working on Gray State, his baby, I was working on my baby, The Call. And his body was found along with his wife and his 5-year-old daughter on January 17th, 2015. And this was someone that if you were I don't want to say if you were really in the truth community during this time, but this was, Loose Change was out. All the 9/11 documentaries were coming out. The V for Vendetta Guy Fawkes mask was everywhere. Occupy Wall Street was on the up. I believe this was a year before Sandy Hook, or it was around the time of Sandy Hook and Boston bombing and favorite false flags like that. But someone who I first heard about it, I knew who David was because he was creating Gray State. And then the next thing I heard about him was that his body was found, and they were calling it a homicide-suicide. And I'm just making sure you're still there before I
am.
continue.
I
before
am.
I continue mansplaining, because I am a man.
Well, and I need to listen, right? I mean, there'd
Yeah.
be no point in splaining if I weren't
Right.
here listening.
Long story short, I've been following the case for a couple years now. I forget how long, maybe 4, maybe 5. It's probably the strangest crime scene I've ever seen in my life. It is the most horrific crime scene I've ever seen in my life. And, you know, the media never talks about the crime scene or all of the missing limbs
You know,
that are missing from the crime scene. And it's got me shook at the story. But the Apple Valley Police Department within 24 hours said David did it. He killed himself and he killed his family. But yet there is no evidence to support that. And when the Apple Valley Police Department wrapped up their official police report on the last page, they admit that they don't have anything to tie David to this case. And that was, I believe, August or October when they wrapped up the report. I mean, I can talk all day long about the case. And thank God there's a gray stage. Gray stage is ran by Greg Fernandez Jr. and Catherine Michelle and Sophia. There's quite a few people, and Dan Hennon has Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook page. And these pages were created within 48 hours of the news, because there's just so many anomalies. And not only was the Apple Valley Police Department coming forth within 24 hours saying David did it, people like Ben Swan and Alex Jones and Luke Rudowski of We Are Change and all these big talkers. Of course, I don't trust any of them, but regardless.
Hey, Rafa, I'm gonna
yes, ma'am.
I'm just going to stop you right there because I know you wanted to talk about this story in length, and you did say you. No, actually, I know you do, because I've actually reserved 2 of my segments into this, and this seems like the perfect stopping point to switch to the next segment, which is Creative Chaos Conspiracy Corner, in which I put on my tinfoil hat, and you're going to expose the Alex Jones and the We Are Change, the people you do not trust, and I'd love to know why.
There are some things that I don't necessarily want to talk about right now, but oh gosh, you put me on the spot.
I did, but no, you can just continue with the David Crowley story, because you had mentioned missing limbs.
I will say this. There's probably, you would be shocked at the list of people that I no longer trust. I mean, I pretty much trust Really Graceful, and that's maybe a couple of others. There's Brian at High Impact Flicks, and Gematria Effect News, and the underdogs, if you will. But
yeah,
there's just something real shady about some of these characters coming out of We Are Change and the Oath Keepers and Alex Jones, and they all just kind of came around or about the same time. Not Alex, but I would say as far as a presence for people like you and I, because he's kind of like a gatekeeper, if you will. But they did all kind of swarm around David Crowley, that's for sure. So there are interesting characters that are in David's story that are also in my Capital story. But yes, no, you're right. There are missing limbs. And one of the reasons why I'm adamant about bringing it up is because, I still have months to go on Act 3. And right now I'd like to take this time to do these interviews to start building a team, or planting the seeds to build a team of criminologists, people in the forensic world, pathologists, LEOs, medical examiners, lawyers, please, dear God, lawyers, PIs, private investigators. There's a lot of photos we didn't get from the FOIA requests. We got a lot of photos and videos and documents. Did they supply us with stacks this big? But there was a lot of photos that were left out. And these are the missing limb photos, even though there were 2 photos that were leaked that I have that shows, you know, David's head missing. But when, you know, David's right hand is missing as well, the hand that he used to kill himself and his wife. And I just need to look at that. I need to look at that area. There's quite a few places. There's quite a few things I need to see. And
right.
That's my first order of business, is getting my hands on those photos.
And that is the thing too, because until recently, and I can't believe my own mind for not realizing this, you are an investigative journalist.
Yeah.
You know, so
reporter,
yeah.
mostly. I mean, I don't write about this. I you know, I do feel like a detective, like an investigator. This was something that I did WOOZ News because, well, I'd been wanting to do it for a long time. Before, it was without a dog, and I was not the host of it. It was a friend of mine who's I just think is so funny, and I wanted to call the show Tilly 2.0. And we just a group of us would just meet all the time, and it wouldn't ever get anywhere. We met for like years and never went anywhere, and I just sat on it. And then finally, when, you know, COVID started and I started to get deeper into the Crowley case, I was like, we're just going to do it with a talking dog. It's going to be my dog. And we're just going to, we'll just call it WOOZ News. And because I was one of those people that would, you know, eat up all my fear porn and then be like, well, what do we do? What's the solution? And I realized all along that you are the solution. And
right. Well, you know,
you're true.
You're talking about wanting to get, you know, more investigators and law enforcement and things like that involved in what you're doing. Have you made any progress in making contacts in those circles?
I have, yes. I would say, how do I want to say this? I've had some conversations with LEOs and former chiefs and captains and detectives, and I think that what I am looking for is ideally someone who's been around the block, someone who is going to who's a big fan and is going to pick this story up and help me out pro bono. He's just going to guide me, because I will go and I will instigate a protest if I need to outside the Apple Valley Police Department. Before I do that, I need these photos. Because when they're saying David's hand is missing, and they're saying that the beagle ate it, but yet there's a knife found at the crime scene, and his head is missing, and his right hand is missing, and both of his wife's hands are missing, and his daughter's entire right arm is missing, I need to see what made those cuts. And so when there's no prints of the dog anywhere, it's, like I said, it is the most bizarre crime scene. I would love if someone could build me a website. That way I could have, you know, all the WOOZ News stuff there, but also I could upload photos and videos and all of the documents that I have. So I could just say, hey, go here, look through the photos. Obviously I'm not going to post them, or the gruesome photos, but I mean, I'll send them to whoever can help me out, but
right.
I need to see the condition of the bodies. You know, they say that David is marked autolysis, and there's people in the community that believe that David was killed first, and I just need to see the detail. You know, if God is in the detail, I need to see that instead of some blurred fucking photos. But like I said, I do have two and a half if you count one. That's just, you could see his left hand in it, but again, just the most bizarre crime scene I've ever seen in my life, and absolutely horrific. And so this is for me, this is one of our brothers, you know. I was definitely deeply affected by this case, and I there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about it.
Right. And that may be, you know, just your viewpoint on he's one of our brothers, maybe why this was one of the thousands of false flags or cover-ups, why this is one you're deciding to pinpoint and want to bring your own talents to, is the David
I can
Crowley
only go
case.
off of I can only go based off of my feelings. You know, I trust me. I was like, there's kids out in this country that don't have food, or there's this person that was like, why couldn't I? That's just not how it works for us. If we go based off of our feelings, our gut and our heart, you know, maybe somebody will handle that. All I know is that I've been given this opportunity to now have a platform because of this capital project. And I started WOOZ News because of David Crowley and because I wanted to affect change. I didn't want to be one of those people that was constantly asking somebody, what do we do? What do we do? So I just kind of stepped into a role of leadership, and I'm gonna get this case reopened, girl.
Well, it sounds like you're putting all of your intention that way.
Yes.
You know, and
because
so,
listen, if something were to happen to me, I would want somebody to, you know,
care.
Yeah, I'd want somebody to care. And I don't know how David feels in the spirit realm. I know that probably sounds very weird to say, but whatever. I know that Father is a huge fan of truth. And if I can somehow bring even more truth to this, because it's like the world believes that David killed his 5-year-old daughter. And if you look at the condition of her body or any of their body, it's just god awful. And I didn't know David personally, at least in this lifetime, but I've seen I can generate a kind of a character profile on somebody very quickly. And somebody that I'd already been following for a while, he was not this alt-right conspiracy theorist who lost his way and became overwhelmed and succumbed to the dark side of conspiracies with his Gray State Project, which is the narrative that they try to push. He's very much a family man, very much a leader. And he definitely was a leader during that time. And
well, goodness, it almost seems like it's like a warning shot. Like, hey, if you guys get, you know, if anybody wants to go down this path and try to expose X, Y, Z, this can happen to you too.
I just thought it was so weird that everybody in the truth community was like, yeah, David did it. And I'm looking at these photos and I'm reading his journal. I don't claim to know everything about this case. Obviously, if I did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But I know quite a bit, and there are some shady characters in and around this case, and it's held my attention all these years, and it does make me upset when people. Yeah, I'll tell somebody about it, and then they'll go Google, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is the guy you want to help?" And I'm like, "No, this is
right."
I mean, yes, but don't read the headlines. So
right. Well, isn't that a funny thing when you were talking to people that you know, claim to be red-pilled or, you know, I'm a truther, and then this is the one time that they'll read a headline and say, never mind, this headline says this. I mean, that's like that cognitive dissonance. That's something, I think that is a huge problem actually in the truther community, is so many people think they have every single thing figured out so hard that they can't be fooled anymore. And that just is not the case. In fact, it's why I love your work so much, is it helps me break up my own cognitive dissonance. Yes. You know, and shake that, shake that calcified pineal gland. Yeah. You know, it's trust like, me, okay, no, I'm like, I'm vibing. Oh my God, this feels so good, but I'm uncomfortable because, wait, okay, no, I trust him.
When I trust me, before the Capitol Project, I knew a lot of stuff, and the more I did WOOZ News, but really when I started doing the Capitol, I'm like, wait a minute. all of these guys that I'm subscribed to were at Charlottesville and the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting and the Capitol, and you just start putting all these characters that are in the background together, and I had just such a sick feeling in my gut that I was a proponent of these people because they're just really great deceivers, and but at least this time I'm not I tried to hold the compassion there. Like, I understand why somebody will deceive the masses, whether for power or money or opportunity or a lesser
for clout.
sentence of for clouts. Yeah,
for clout, that sweet internet clout.
Yep. So I'm operating. I mean, I'm still gonna call you out, but if I need to, for the sake of the people and the truth, but I'm not gonna. That's why, like, debate Jacob Chansley. Like, I'm not really somebody who needs to go out of their way to prove themselves. I already did that with my work, and it honestly, it didn't have anything to do with me proving myself. It was just I've been breaking these false flags down for years, and thank God for the Boston bombing, because there were so many techniques used.
You literally said, "Thank God for the Boston bombing."
Well, it wasn't real.
Oh, well.
It wasn't real. I don't know which side of the fence you're on with that, but
dude,
it was a really easy false flag to break down, thanks to I think his name's David McGowan, who did the Boston unbombing. Not that I didn't know already, but yes, thank God for the Boston bombing. Nobody was hurt.
Christy.
I would never say that about 9/11 now. I would never say that about 9/11.
All right.
No. And there's some other false flags that are a mixture of both, and no, I could safely say that about Boston bombing. What happened to the Sarnav brothers? Maybe we will never know. I that one bothers me quite a bit because I don't know what to believe. But I'm not. I don't want to, bring any harm to anyone. That's not the purpose of this. I feel that this is very important to Father and Brother Yeshua, and which seems so silly to me sometimes. Like, I'm here editing this video to help wake people up, because the deception is at a 10. But they seem to be big fans of the show, and they're guiding me. So,
well, and they obviously have great. I believe they have great senses of humor.
They really do. That is, absolutely, definitely. I mean, I think Father's sense of humor is a little bit more raucous than maybe Brother's. Brother's very calm. Brother's very calm. Likes to do breathing techniques. But anyway, I feel that wherever is happening right now, if I can do my part, if we all do our part, I do feel that this Capitol false flag is a part of this. I do feel that David is a part of this. But I also feel that Father and Jesus and a lot of these things kind of wrapped up in this. And I have no idea what's going to happen. And I think that's probably for the better. That, still working on that mediumship. Would love to, like I said, I'd love to help people on a, very kind of supernatural kind of way.
Right. Well, I'm sure you will be led, your energies will be focused towards what you most need to do at any given time.
Right now, that's Act 3.
Right.
So.
And your plans are to have Act 3 and done and out within the next couple of months?
Yeah. I mean, definitely this year. Definitely this year. I brought my laptop and my G-Raid with me. I was editing today, which is so, I feel like a little T-Rex trying to edit on the laptop. you know.
Yeah.
But I'm at this very intricate sequence right now that I've been on for over a month. I call it the 227 sequence because everything happened at 227.
All right.
So much shit goes down at the same time, so it's just getting over that 227 hump, and then we're off to the photo shoot in the house. I did just happen to learn there were, I'm not going to say it now. It's not even relevant, but it's relevant to me. There are some people that I wanted to know who they were. I became obsessed with wanting to know some of these people that were in Act 1, like Fredo and Yetter and Cop 2 and Sam. And the day before I came here to the Keys.
But who's Happy?
I don't know who Happy is. We do see her in Act 3. I don't know. I like to focus on people who are, because we revisit that scene outside the speaker's lobby, and we have new footage and new insight. And anyway, long story short, learned who everybody in that room is. Finally, thank God. So it's no longer a mystery to me anymore. It's just, I would spend a whole week trying to find one photographer's name. And luckily, this just kind of fell into my lap. I'm like, well, here it is. It's all here. Every single character in that room. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
The fact that finding a single person's name takes you an entire week while you're making an entire movie.
I wanted to know who Sam was. Yeah. And, going back and forth this Crowley case.
Right, and, absolutely. And I think we have actually passed our 1 hour mark.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Womp womp.
All right, so what do we do now?
Well, I think we should. Oh my goodness, I got a donation.
Hello.
Yeah, I got a can from Maven. Thank you, Maven, over on Foxhole. And actually,
Foxhole? What's a can?
Yeah, so Foxhole is a relatively small streaming platform that is absolutely uncensored. The reason I love Foxhole, it's called pilled.net also, is the fact that they're absolutely uncensored, but it's also a smaller platform, and the community is very, very strong and very supportive. So
I've heard that before about Rumble, but Rumble be taking my shit down.
I can guarantee you if you
they ban my shit all the time.
And that's the thing. I think most of my audience who would be watching this stream, because of the little circles I run in, already knows Rumble sucks. In fact, on Foxhole they call it Crumble. Yeah. So if you see Cosmic's screen right now, you can see the chat from Foxhole on the left-hand side.
Very good.
Yeah, so it's a small, super independent platform where I actually have spoken to the people that have created it and all that. So hooray for Foxhole, my #1 platform, and really trying to build my community up over there. So thank you, Paul Thaddeus, for the can, 451 actual for the 451 gold pills, and Maven for the can over there as well. And let's see. I don't know how to see if anybody donated over on Odyssey. It doesn't look like Odyssey was very active. Screw you guys. No. Love you. And thank you for everybody that hopped on over on YouTube. I am not monetized over there. And that was something I was super excited, and I'm keeping the live stream up, including the Capitol shooting, because I know that was taken down off YouTube for you. So basically that's my challenge to YouTube. Like, go ahead, give me a strike, take my live stream down. I don't give a shit.
Well, when they ban your whole channel, then you start to give a shit. But I filled out an appeal, and I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It worked. Though I did file an appeal with when they took down Act 1, and that did not work. But then when Act 2 came out, they banned my entire freaking channel, and then and then I filed the appeal, and then they gave me back my channel, but they took down Act 2. And then I filed another appeal, and I got Act 2 back the next day. I always take little screenshots of all of these moments and put it in my little WOOZ News keepsake folder. No, because it's just, like I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with WOOZ News after Act 3. Like I said, the plan is to do David Crowley story. But I'm unsure, what the future looks like there with that. I like WOOZ News because I get to act and direct and write and edit, even though after editing all this capital shit, I probably never want to edit for the rest of my life. My butt hurts all the time. We'll see what we'll see what the universe has planned for me, but right now there's a lot of work to do, and I think it's to tell you a little secret, I was not going to release Act 2 until a few weeks until Act 3 was completed. But Father pushed me to release it at the time that I did. And I'm actually glad that I did because, some people are just now getting around to Act 1.
Right.
So I think it's good to have this in the interim. In the background, also can plant the Crowley seeds.
Well, yeah, and what I've seen is because you came out public and you've been able to kind of do this kind of alt media blitz, it's going to bring more attention and more excitement for Act 3.
Yes, and I wasn't going to say this, but I did say that something was bothering me earlier, and I kind of had to get myself out of a funk for 2.5 hours. And I don't know what to make of it. There's a woman named Janet. I think it's Osprod, or I'm probably butchering that. But I remember when her Fall Cabal videos came out a few years ago.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was a little suspicious because of the view count. When a video comes out that fast and has that many views, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, not every time I get a spidey sense, it means something. But regardless, that always kind of made me feel better about doing WOOZ News. Was okay, well, if this woman can do it, so can I. And now, as just a few days ago, I understand that she was missing for 5 weeks. And I watched a video today that said that she took her own life. I don't know how to feel about any of those things. But I would just let you know that will never happen to me. Ever.
You will never take your own life.
I will never take my own life. I am the healthiest person I know. I just had my physical. Not into drugs unless they're, weed. But I'm a pretty good boy. And so that story was bothering me quite a bit, and because I already got the David story going on. David's trying to tell the truth and putting it into his film about the Freemasons coming to decapitate us. And, I would love to say that I have superhuman powers and I don't think about these things. But it's as long as I can have a platform to say, hey, I would never do this to myself. I would never harm anyone else. But it helps me feel a little bit better at night.
Here's what I have to say about that. The fact that you will never harm yourself. So if any harm comes to you that, maybe in the media, they're saying came at your own hand, I'm going to feel personal responsibility to kind of take on your role for what you're doing for David. And I really don't want to. I don't have the time for that shit. Okay.
It's funny because I realize that if I don't do David's story, I don't know who else will. I don't, because if they would have done it already. Just like if one of your favorite alternative news people wanted to come out and tell you what really happened at the Capitol, but none of them have done it. Not a single one has told you the truth about the Capitol. They've got you chasing your damn head around.
Yeah, and there are other, kind of what you're doing, what really happened at the Capitol, but it's not.
But
and I've
they're all
seen
pushing
them.
the same narrative.
And this is yes, exactly. And this is when I see these things pop up. I'm like, not that. Look at WOOZ News. This is what really happened. And maybe maybe.
These people refuse to. I don't want to put something into the future. From my perspective, since Act 2 came out, I don't want to put anything into the future. We're just talking about the past right now. In the past, I am aware that certain people have received a certain video. And I also know that these people have been, needless to say, quiet. You would think that these people would totally have a viewing party, a little slumber party for Act 2. There's a reason why it has a 99% like, after millions of views. I don't care if I'm tooting my own horn, because again, it's not about me, it's about the information. I'm just a vessel for Father, you know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah, it's about the work and what you put out there. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had many of those same experiences where I know there's people in the past I thought would really like what we're doing, and it's crickets.
Yep.
In fact, even like personal communications and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we're not approved. We're not the approved ones.
We're not peddling the narrative that they've chosen.
Right.
Of course, there were feds there at J6, but that's where they keep you. That way they can contain you. And they say, oh, this guy is going to jail now. Oh, they're gonna release more footage. Like, we need more footage. They're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna need somebody like, somebody to view this footage diligently. I'll tell you, the footage they've been releasing now. Do you think I have any of that in Act 3? No, because ain't nothing going on in these sequences that they're showing us. By the way, that all the timestamps are removed from these videos that they're showing us, and now they want to blur the faces of these people. It's just they put out the story and then you take the bait. Whether you're on the left or the right, it doesn't matter. You're programming. They've got different programming for different people.
Right.
You take the bait, and then instead of realizing that there's a hell of a lot more to the story than just feds being there. And by the way, the idea of feds being there was kind of came along later. If you remember the first week of the fake surrection, it was Antifa. Now you don't hear about that no more. So which one is it? Or could it be that it's all of it? That there are paid protesters there? That some of the cops may not be real cops? That there are feds there? That this is just one big show for all of our, conveniently placed world-renowned photographers? I don't think that your audience, maybe they do. I don't think you guys know who some of these people are. Please go to Getty Images, type in their names, type in any one of their names into Getty Images, and look at all the other places they've been. These are not just your run-of-the-mill, happen to be there, DC photographers. These are people we've grown up with their pictures, or we've grown up with their father's pictures.
And thank you for the tip of a way to easily research, small things like that. Check out the photographers that were there.
If you've got an image, if you're reading an article and you've got an image. Now, if it says like AP Reuters, you might have to go take it a step farther. You may have to take that photo, put into Google Images, and find the photo where it tells you what their name is. Oftentimes they will say who took the photo or who took the video, but that's what really gets you kind of in the driver's seat, is who's the person behind the camera. That's not something I thought about ever when dealing with false flags until the Capitol event. And then it just It became so overwhelming. Now it's just so it's just easy. It's just so easy at this point.
Yeah, and you see it over and over, kind of a pattern of
Yes.
who's at all of these things. And wow, he was here too, and they were there, you know.
The deceit, even in the truth community, the deceit is at a 10. At least they've got you cornered. You know, you may think that, oh, this was a false flag, but they still got you. They still got their teeth sunk into you in some other way.
Right.
And, I mean, once you can break free from all of that and get to a place where whatever they say, it doesn't affect you. You're not going to fear that fear anymore. You know, you're going to trust in Father and trust in the universe and know that you are the one. I know it can sound corny, but I tell you, like,
you're getting a little woo woo there.
I'll get a little woo woo. Uh-oh, 20% battery remaining. Uh-oh, did my screen go? There we go.
Well,
anyway,
that's funny because I was going to ask, what is your best advice for, you know, people that really, really genuinely want to know the truth, that, you know, inadvertently get sucked in one of a million different traps? You know, what is your advice to people of how to avoid, you know, those traps and continue on your truth-seeking path?
Okay. How do I want to word this? It may be necessary for the brain of the soul that needs to know. We're human beings. Well, I mean, we're a spirit having a human experience, but we have this need to know. I'm the same freaking way. I'm like asking Father every day about the David Crowley story. But I trust that he will help me when the time is right. But as far as advice, and I've said this before in other interviews, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a slippery slope, because I want the WOOZ news message to get out there, but at the same time, you've got to put the InfoWars away for just a little while. You've got to put the news away and start to develop your own intuition. And one of the ways you can do that is just by getting really quiet with yourself. But I think before we're trying to ask questions and figure some of this shit out, I think right now, I don't want to say it's the better question to ask, but might be a more helpful question to ask for that soul or that spirit, would be to get quiet with yourself and ask what your purpose is. Why did you come back to this planet at this particular time? Why are you here? What was that contract that you signed? What do you think? And if you don't believe in reincarnation or any of that, that's totally fine. I totally do. But that's not the argument I'm trying to make, because, okay, why do you think Father wants you here? You know what I mean? Just take it. It's not going the other way. It's kind of the same thing. What do you think Father's plan for you is, or the purpose? Because we're all Father, we're all God, we're all Mother. We're all a reflection of Him. We're all a reflection of Brother Yeshua. What will you have me do today? And I think when we can start putting the trust into His hands, I'm not a religious person at all. I grew up Catholic and I just didn't feel a part of that. And I happen to be a homosexual in this lifetime, and that the idea of religion doesn't really have a place for me. But for some people it does, and that's fine. I'm not going to try to convince anybody of anything. And I've come to realize that Father and brother are not religion at all. Not at all. There's so much more juicier things going on behind the scenes than, you know, some incense and a loaf of bread, if you will. Okay. But that would be my advice, is to maybe just put the Fox News and the CNN and all your favorite alternative news people, just put them over here for a little while. it doesn't have to go away forever, but just get quiet with yourself and perhaps meditate and just try to determine, and it may not be one thing, but that's a launching pad. That's where we're going to start. We're going to try to understand why we're here. And I promise you, if you start to do this, and you might go into a meditation and you're like, you go into it thinking this is going to be the outcome. I'm going to go in and I'm going to get the answers I need, and don't be discouraged. You know what I mean? The more calm that we can get, the more that we can allow this channel to kind of run through us.
Well, like everything, it needs practice.
Yes. But also getting calm with thyself. There's a lot of people in the WOOZ News Telegram group that I just want to give a big hug to, because they are just so full of fear. And I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like to have a giant prep storage area and just, but I was just so miserable. I was, and it was such an addiction for me that I couldn't wait for the New World Order to take over. Because you know why?
Then at least it's there in your face. It's done.
At least it's there and it's done. But then it meant that I didn't have to do anything, all the hard work in my life that I knew, all the dreams that I wanted. It would just be easier to just let them come. And they haven't come. And I don't know if it's going to look like the way that we think it's going to look like, because I think we all have kind of an idea of what it's going to look like, because that idea has been, around for a while. But I want other people to get, for somebody like me to be ranting and raving about God and Jesus, which.
But that's how you get popular online. You have to rant and rave. I don't think I know anybody that's like calm. Well, that's not true. There's people that are calm that get decent audiences.
It just seems, I don't want to,
we're supposed to be scared.
No, for sure. No, but that's the thing though, is that all these other, these networks, these alternative news channels they're pitting you into that corner of fear. It's not love, it's fear. And so that's why what I'm showing is comedy based. We're turning the story around. It's time for the people to laugh at them.
Right.
With compassion.
Maybe, I guess a little bit, a dash, but if we want to.
we are the 99%.
Yeah.
So there is a war. There is a war going on. Alex Jones was right. There is a war going on for your mind. But there are some aids, whether that be father or brother or angels. Come to realize that those freaking things are real. I was such a skeptic. So whether you have to take your ayahuasca to get there or whatever means, that's
meet your angels.
If it's a desire of yours. But I would just like to say I've done a lot of plant medicine. I've been around the world, with many a witch doctor, and I highly recommend that. And I also highly recommend getting quiet with yourself and developing a relationship with father and brother, because it's real. I don't need to convince you that it's real, but because there's some people who don't like to subscribe to that because it reminds them of religion. I totally get that. And there's other help, and that's okay. It is totally okay. If you want to get your help from a guide or a plant, or an angel, there's plenty to go around. So whatever you feel most comfortable with, because that's usually how it looks anyway when we cross that veil and go into the spirit realm. It'll be a kind of set up to how the brain of that human body that we are occupying in, how do I want to word it? It doesn't matter.
So recapping,
Good luck.
the shortcut to connecting to that source.
Put away the fear, bring in the love.
Take mushrooms, go to the desert.
If that is resonating with you, go for it. If sitting in a pew and doing 108 Hail Marys if that's what's resonating for you, do it. But try to start to look at this. Father has often, even though I'm classically trained actor, when he tells me all the time that you are an actor, he's not meaning professionally necessarily. He means that I don't know my real name, meaning I don't know my soul's name, but I have a real name, and I've been to this planet several times. I've been every race and every sex, whatever that means to you. We've done a lot of things, all of us have. So that spirit comes in to this body, chosen, predestined. Not everything's predestined because we have free will. So I'm the spirit playing the actor in this human flesh, in this human suit, Rafa. And it is a lot like a video game in a way. But it's not all fixed. Just like in a video game, it's not all fixed. You know that you got to go down this tunnel if you want to get to the princess. But you could go down several other tunnels or get hit by a turtle, a duck turtle with wings. Or you can go and eat mushrooms and get really big. The choice is yours. But if you are on your Twitters and you're getting that doom drip, you're going to stay in that vibration. I promise you. And then you're not going to know what to do. All that prepping isn't going to mean shit when you don't know what to do because you don't know yourself. So I would say take the time while we have it. Take the time and just put it to the side. Introduce a new friend into your life. You. And compassion and love. And I will say this, the people that come to the WOOZ News Telegram, I've developed a lot of relationships with people. I am on the phone quite a bit, which is fine because I get to talk to people from all over the world. But several of them will tell me, just like, yeah, my life was like this, and then, heard you and act two. And I'm only giving a country twang to it because most of the people I have talked to are scattered throughout the South, and that's okay because I've lived all through the South. No problem. I love Southern people. That's for sure. I love all kinds of people.
Okay.
But people do always, it's something, whether they manifested something or I love to hear those stories. Yes, I love to hear like, dude, I've been trying to wake my girlfriend up for years and you did it with just this Capitol video. I love that because that's what we're doing here. But there's still information that comes along with that mission. And so when I hear people talking about the fascinating, wonderful things, joyous things that are happening in their life from that mission, that I love to hear about that.
Right, absolutely. Well, and that is the thing to anybody that happens to be watching. I think that's really important for people that are out there basically putting their souls on the line and their lives. Not you are kind of putting your life on the line with this next documentary you're making. I'd have to, but don't be scared. It's
No, I feel I listen. The more that I can, because this is like a therapy conversation for me, and I mean, it's not something that this is not something you want to talk with your family about because you don't want to worry them. And I don't want to worry anyone. That's not the point but I'm also like, I'm in this human body. I have human emotions and I've seen what happens to people like David. And but I also just didn't want to live in fear anymore and double checking whether the VPN was on because I was not happy doing that at all.
Listen,
it's just better to be free now. I don't check behind the door.
there was more than 1 or 5 reasons for you to come public and put your face out there. And I, for one, am super happy that you did and that we were able to meet at least digitally. And we actually live close enough to where when you come up to my mountain, because I, for hell sure not going to LA, when you come onto my mountain, we should meet up.
Okay, I have a wonderful place. I love having guests over. I've had a couple WOOZ News friends over, WOOZ friends.
In Los Angeles?
But it's funny because, yeah, I mean, I understand people don't like it there. That's fine. You're missing out. But I just happened to be, I think a day before you reached out to me, I had just left your area in the mountains because I was there for Thanksgiving. So I thought that was cute.
Well, I what was crazy is I had seen you on another stream where you said you wanted to go to the mountains, and I had the day I contacted you, I had woken up thinking about that, and I felt like I had woken up from a dream thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I need to, because I'd been thinking about trying to reach out directly to you for months before that, and I just hadn't done it.
Sure. I've realized that I'm a city guy, but I'm also a mountainous forest guy, and I love them equally. And I'm such a Pisces.
Are you a Pisces? I love Pisces. You guys. I'm an Aries. Pisces.
Okay, awesome. I have some Aries in my family as well. Trying to find that perfect city that's mountainous and foresty, and not sure where that is right now.
I don't think that exists. Maybe somewhere in Canada.
I think Denver. Oh, yeah, maybe Denver, Canada. I'm staying put right now. Until I get a message, I tend to live, I would say like I'm gonna wait for a message to figure out what to have for breakfast. I don't live to the extreme like that, but I do, as far as certain things like with the Crowley case or with this, I will wait for some messages, and boy, do I get them. And they are, that's shit you got to write down in your little journal that I keep, because it can be so mind blowing once you start to play the game, because it is a game of life. And I understand being here in Key West, it brings me back to it. I was talking to Father and I'm like, wow, it is really easy to forget that we are just living this game, because I'll hear like all the drama that this person did and that person. I'm like, this all just seems so fixable. Just sounds so fixable. But I was starting to forget this. Forget it. I just had to take a break from all the voices around me and just have a conversation with Father, and there he is. And I understand it's easy to get in the humdrum of life, but that doesn't mean your life has to be like that. I will say, when you're playing the game of life and you're raising your vibration, I'll tell you, some fun shit starts to happen. It really does. And I'm a big proponent of them because it is so wild and juicy, and you just cannot make this shit up sometimes.
Well, definitely seems way more fun than following the news cycle and being scared all the time.
That's all they want from you, whether you're left or right. I mean, that is all they want from you. And I don't want to say what I was about to say, but let me try to reword it. How about this? There is a possibility that if these so-called Republicans and these so-called Democrats do not put their teams down and realize that everybody's being lied to, and the main goal is to separate them, and as long as they got y'all separated, I'm not really sure how much change we're going to be able to create.
That's a poignant thought. In fact, it really is. Like, I've been on the path of what they want is us in a heightened state of stress and fear nonstop. That is what they want.
And hate. Do you
And
know what it's
hate.
like
Yeah, you're
living
right.
in Los Angeles? What do you, this is rhetorical. What is the kind of rhetoric do you think that I hear? Okay, now I get off a plane in Key West. What do you think is the rhetoric that I hear here? It's the complete opposite. And I'm just like, man, if you guys really knew that you had more in common with in each other than you do with any of these so-called politicians that you think are they're going to come out and promise you this and that, and they never address 9/11 or chemtrails or fluoride. You know, the basic shit that we're still talking about. Fukushima, I mean, come on. It's like a lot of people forgot about all that stuff, but I'm here to remind you.
Well, that it is funny how 9/11 now is like the baseline, the baseline test of like, how normie are you? Okay, 9/11. I've met multiple, ever since COVID, and I'm sure you've had very similar experiences where you're kind of meeting the newly red pilled because COVID red pilled them, like, hey, something's not right here, but they're still like such normies. Well, yeah, I mean,
Q movement.
Yes, I'd say I've met a lot of people in that movement. I've met people who are super, tuned in that still are like, okay, I'll watch Q because, it's, I think, a happy fantasy that people like to kind of cling on to that know a lot of other truths, but what I was going down was, yes, kind of Q, but people that COVID really, really woke them up that are still like, I don't know about 9/11 though. You're crazy if you think that's an inside job. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you realize COVID, yeah, yep. but you just won't open your mind to 9/11, really? Like Building 7? Come on.
That's what changed my life.
Building
when
7?
I saw that footage, hell yeah, when I saw that footage, I'm like, wait a minute. There was a third building that fell that day? What are you talking? What? And then, yeah, that changed my life in a documentary called Zeitgeist. Long time ago. And then what did I do? I joined We Are Change in Los Angeles, and I was one of those people at Occupy LA. Thinking, not realizing everybody around me is a freaking paid protester. Not everybody, but the guy who has the balls to go up to the cop and do this. And I was like, it was like a movie set. I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. And it just goes to show you, like, I didn't know I was around a bunch of paid protesters. How do you think those people feel with those BLM protests? You know what I mean? Like they go there thinking. Going there thinking something.
Right.
But yet everybody around them is a paid protester.
And not everybody. Not everybody. But yeah.
No, of course. Not everybody.
No.
I'm being hyperbolic.
Yes.
But I'm also not, because there's a lot of them. And they're scattered throughout, just like we saw with Act 2. They're scattered all around the Capitol.
Well, one thing that you didn't know about me, myself, and my husband is we were there, actually. And
at January 6th?
Yeah, we were there on January 6th. And it was a very interesting thing to behold and be in the moment watching this all go down. And I didn't even know what to think. I'm like, that guy is, what? This is really weird. And like, it's almost like I lost my senses.
Yep.
Be like feeling the mob mentality and things like that were being stirred up. But I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get in any shit, but I will walk up here and look down there. And oh my God, that's what tear gas feels like. That's weird, but yeah,
I've heard this from quite a few people that went there. And unfortunately, some of those people have either been tried and are going to be going to jail, like Alan Hostetter is expected to report to jail on the 5th of January. And people like a man I've been chatting with for a while now named Eric Clark. There's a couple of others. There are people, wives. I will get emails from wives, people that are already in jail. And of course, quickly do. I like to see where they're standing. I like to see what they're wearing. I like to do all the things that I know what to do to determine whether they are a paid protester or not, because there are quite a few paid protesters vying for my attention. But because I'm not gonna want to talk to you, I'm feeling like there is this. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not sure why some of these paid protesters are reaching out to me. But I don't know if they're fighting, because there's quite a few people reaching out to me. There's a lot of drama in that world. And, you know, I don't let it cloud any of my judgment. I mean, I'll hear what they have to say, but, you know, it's very interesting. I feel like it's like a snake eating its own tail, or I'm not really sure what's going on with those paid protesters, the J6 paid protesters, but there's seems like something's going on.
Okay.
Some drama.
All right.
Drama. Anyway.
Well, I think this is a good ending note, because we're 40 minutes over, Rafa.
Womp womp.
And I did want to say thank you so much to Cosmic Grandpa for being my awesome producer on the very first night that he's producing for me. I feel like this went super smoothly. Hello. Hello, Cosmic Grandpa. Look, he's a Trump guy. He's a Trump guy.
Fine.
He's got Trump's mugshot meme.
I love that background.
Oh, he left again.
So I'm a child of God guy. I you know, like I said, even with the paid protesters, I have compassion, and that's not what we're trying to do here. You know, we're all trying to figure this all out together. So this just happens to be where we are. It seems very biblical, because it seems like a lot of shit that Jesus and some of the fellowship or the brotherhood was having to deal with is very reminiscent of what's happening now.
Right.
Very.
And that's one thing I've got to say about Trump in general is, you know, I know you are a nonpartisan. I don't know if you say you're politically homeless. Like I feel like politics tears us apart, you know?
Yes.
And I know a lot of people that follow us and subscribe to our magazine, they are Trump all the way. I will never tell them to not be, but at the same time, it really does seem to me that Trump easily becomes pretty much people's Lord and Savior, and Trump is not your Lord and Savior, you know, is basically my thought process on the whole thing.
Well, I certainly know that he ain't doing anything for these real J6ers that went there to see him.
Right.
I have held my tongue about Trump, and will probably do so, because the goal for me, if you start mouthing off about Trump, well, then they're not going to hear the message. That was my point. I've taken a lot of Trump-esque stuff out, because that's not why we're here, but it kind of is. It's like the B story or the C story, but let's just get through the A story first. And then you can make your. I'm probably never going to come out and say what I think or feel or know about this person. I haven't really done that so much with anyone. If you watch the director's cut of Act 2, yes, I did do that, but in a very mainstream, salacious way. That was before Father and Brother, when I did the director's cut for Act 2, and I there's parts of me that feel bad about pointing the finger at some people, but I was just trying to highlight that it doesn't matter what team you play for, they'll still fuck anyone, whether you're red or blue. They all fuck each other.
Right, exactly. And
they ain't fucking us.
I do believe it was a good choice to take out as much Trump stuff to get your message through.
I didn't really leave anything about Trump in Act 2, and there's really nothing about Trump in Act 3.
Right.
It's a distraction.
Well, I suppose you're right on that. Yes, but anybody that happens to still be watching, you know, if you're seeing something and something hurts your butt just a little bit, don't dismiss the entire message, is what I have to say about it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
if you like everything else that you're saying, get over your tiny little butt hurt and, you know, listen to the core message, you know.
Right.
You know, because
like I said, some of the people that I've become fans of, or that I'm trying to help them in every way I can, I'm aware that they are Trump supporters. That doesn't take away or enhance our relationship at all. I mean,
right, and it doesn't make you disrespect them in any way.
Right. I know what it's like to be to put your faith in a candidate because you want X, Y, and Z to occur. You know?
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, I voted for Obama in 2008, but that was the last time I voted, and will never vote again. That was before I realized that we don't choose the presidents, they do.
Right.
But you know, just another one of these illusions, kind of like the game of life and how to play it. It's an illusion, but it's not a delusion, if you know what I mean.
I might, but you know, I'm still on my truther path, so I know I still have lots of things to run into, like the content you provide that's going to break up my own cognitive dissonance a little more.
Sure. I'm on the truther path, but it's not just truth about false flags. Now I'm starting to want to know things about, you know, the real Jesus or quantum physics or how to frickin' bend a spoon, you know?
Right.
My interests are my false flags are just kind of, I'm starting to move away from them because, I mean, how many frickin' false flags do we need to unpack before you get it? Like, I don't want to, that's not why I created WOOZ News, was to keep saying the same damn thing over and over, like AJ, and sell you some supplements. Even though I can be a fan of supplements. Depends which ones. But I want to just do my thing. I just want to do my thing while I'm here. Okay, I did it. I tried to waken the people. I tried to get this case reopened. On to what's next. I'm not saying no to future WOOZ News things. I'm just saying I simply am not thinking that far. I just want to get through Act 3.
Well, and then you also have your next, you know, expose documentary.
And David Crowley. I would really love if some PIs or some lawyers, you know, help me out. You know, I want an army of people to back me up where we need no weapons other than our guts and our brains and our hearts. Those are the weapons we'll use.
Right.
Our mouths.
Well,
our intuition, our discernment, the great gift that God has bestowed upon you.
Well, you keep putting that out there. You're going to find them. I don't know if you'll find them within this audience, but you know, just keep putting that out there.
I will find them, but that's kind of my plug. My plug is not buy this and buy that. I mean, please do donate to the Give Send Go page, but my plug is, you know, let's get eyes on the Capitol Project. Let's get eyes on locating certain people that may be able to help me with this David Crowley case. Because the message is not, I'm obviously promoting a message, but it's not just the government is lying to you. There's a whole clause after it, you know. That's kind of like the song and dance to get you in the chair. To learn that your government's lying to you. Now, how do we transmute this energy, or how do we transmute this information? You know, how do we start to play the game of life? Is really what I would like for your audience, or any audience, to start to question everything. ask father. Father loves questions.
Right. Well,
They'll be
Rafa,
discouraged if you don't get them
you-
right out the way, but then you sure rejoice if you get it right away. Sometimes that happens. Just be open to it. A lot of people gotta stick up their ass, man, and a lot of people,
well, that's true.
a lot of people don't. They just need to relax a little bit. That's why I feel that in order for them to relax, they do need to put the CNN, Fox News away for a little while, and have some me time. Also, the social media, it's the exact same thing. The social media, the Twitters, all of it. Anything that's vying for your attention to tell you what is, you can just put it in this little drawer for now. And let's just, silence. Let's just get a little quiet. Maybe play some binaural beats in the background or some isochronic tones. Who knows?
Nice. Hey, Rafa, I really, really need to stop this stream because I have to piss so bad.
I do too. You better get.
I
thought I was about to die anyway.
But I did want to say, anybody that is interested in supporting Rafa financially and his little dog so he can have some kibble or however you feed him.
Please, girl, I cook for him.
I do. I cook for my dogs too.
Hell no, I ain't feeding him kibble. No way.
I wasn't gonna assume you cooked for your dog, but I do as well. But it's the best thing you can do for them. The donations.
Buy the food for him.
Exactly. The chicken and the rice or whatever you cook for him. All of those.
I'll give you the ingredients.
All of those links are in the description of the video. You've got to give, send, go, and other things like PayPal and stuff like that. They're all in the description of the video. I don't have any mods working in my chat to drop them. Just look at the description of the video. And I had already said thank you so much to my fabulous producer and anybody that's still watching. Please thumbs up, like, share. You've been commenting in the chat. Thank you so much for being active in the chat tonight over on Odyssey, Foxhole, and on the YouTubes. And for Rafa's audience that has come over to check out Creative Chaos, if you liked it, consider coming back next week. I will have I'm going to have everybody from as red-pilled and awesome as Rafa is to probably somewhat normies, because this show is about focusing on kind of building up parallel culture with independent productions in many different lights. So next week, I will be having Luke Stone of fundmycomic.com, an alternative crowd sourcing funding platform that does not censor. He's a really great guy and super fun. So that's who we're going to have on next week. If you're interested in seeing how I'm trying to gather up a bunch of little chickens to build up parallel culture, stick with the Creative Chaos stream. And thank you so much, Rafa, for being here with me. It was so wonderful to meet you, and I hope you'll come back, because I had a lot of fun, and I think maybe we should do the droning on 4-hour streams sometimes.
I did that with Pastor Chatelet.
I'm sure you did.
For some people in the WOOZ News chat room, I mean, forgive me, I have an interview tomorrow. I'll send out a link. It's with I wish I could remember his name. It's Alpha something, and then I'm also doing another one with Douglas at Healing Law.
It's not Alpha Fox, is it?
Is it Alpha Fox?
I don't know. That's somebody
you would think I would know, but I could check now, but I'd have to get into my phone and whatnot. And
Kelly, what's Rafa doing?
Oh, I don't think I told her about this.
Oh, okay.
About this particular one, but I have 2 interviews tomorrow, and I'll be joined with Eric, who is a J6er, a real J6er, defending himself pro se, and his trial begins on the 29th of January.
So yeah, it seems to me like you're doing a decent amount of communication in your Telegram channel. Would you say on social media that might be where is best to see what you're actually doing on a daily basis?
Yes, and as long as Kelly is there, she because other than people like Kelly and Lens and Valhalla Calls, it's just me. And so thank God they believe in the work that I do and helping me out. Thank you guys so much. And there'll be more to come. There'll be more help is on the way. And I can, because I spend so much time editing I haven't been on Twitter this whole time, and I haven't been on the Telegram, but I try to when I'm home and I'm just editing, but here I'm on vacation, kind of, because vacation, but I still try to get my editing in and try to make contact with people and
right.
But yes, the Telegram group would be the place to go.
Because if Rafa doesn't know, Kelly will know. I'm in that Telegram chat. So it'd be super cool to have some of my own audience in that Telegram chat as well, because I have social media anxiety. So I don't act in forums very often, but I'm going to try to be a little more active in yours,
Yes.
Rafa, to say what's
Thank
up
you.
to you and meet new and fantastic friends. I already
They're
love
pretty
Kelly.
great over there.
Yeah.
Everyone, I will say that the chat room is really great. I like everyone. I've
Cool.
only had to block like one person.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
We've been doing our Telegram channel for a bit over a year now, and we've attracted the Bitcoin sellers and all that kind of stuff that I have to stay on top of. Telegram can get a little annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I make a point when I'm home. I try to make a point to go on there and say hi to everyone. I don't think that people understand how much work it takes to make Act 3 or any of this. But
anybody that has never edited has no clue until you're sitting down, because we've done a lot of animation. So that I think people think you snap your finger or you just feed it into the computer and then it happens.
Like, you're still at this section, you were there a month ago. I'm like, no shit. Like, do you have any idea how much, because you're not just editing the footage, you're editing the dialogue and the music.
Well, and you're scripting.
And you're writing out, what do we see in the scene? Like, if 10 things are happening at 2:27, well, do we go here first or do we go here first? Like, there is room for creativity and building a story. We could go outside to the west side right now, or we can go down to obstacle 6, or excuse me, obstacle 8, or we could show, Michaela Pence leaving at this exact same time that all this shit's going down.
So I will say on your behalf, for anybody that is looking forward to Act 3 and want to get on Rafa's case that it's not out in 2 months or whatever, take the stick out of your ass, calm down, take some mushrooms, reconnect with yourself, breathe.
You're gonna get me in trouble with
it's
all
coming.
Those mushrooms. Because they'll say, well, I don't want to say what they'll say, but listen, I'm a fan of mushrooms.
I'm a fan of mushrooms.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I could use some. You got any hookups out there? I'm kidding.
I cannot answer that question right now.
No, of course you can't. Okay, anyway, but, this is the longest goodbye ever. And
that's okay with me.
Except for I have to pee. So
I do too.
But you're a boy. I think it's different.
I know. I think it is. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's supposed to be different.
I think it is too, which, we can go into a whole, like, my own psychology and penis envy and all that kind of stuff from way back when I was a kid. But
it's okay.
We'll save that for Act 2 of Creative Chaos with WOOZ News.
Sounds great.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you again for being here. Thank you, chat and everybody else. Thank you, Cosmic Grandpa. And I am going to go pee. Rafa, if you wanted to talk off stream, we totally can. But I am going to go to the bathroom right away.
I'm definitely going to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
All right, Cosmic.
But I'll wait around for a little while.
All right, that sounds great. We will talk backstage, and Cosmic, we can end the stream. Bye. See you next
Bye,
Thursday.
friends. Thank you for listening.